Ah, that's right. I keep forgetting that these guys are teammates, but this is the IEM Shanghai qualifiers. European qualifiers, clearly. Spawning in the top left side of Prey on Terraces, we do have the yellow Terran player. It is going to be True Esports Beastyqt.
In the bottom right, as the red Protoss, it is Rail.
Okay, so fun fact about Beasty, for those who don't know. The QT in his name is not meant to be two individual letters. If you ever want to be on his good books, make sure you don't pronounce it or write it as such. I don't know why this is such a big deal, but apparently a long time ago I learned that it was. Secondly, and perhaps more relevantly, the IEM Shanghai qualifiers actually had something kind of interesting with players, and that's because the actual tournament. So I think right now, technically, like Marine Lord and Major and DNS are still banned, but because this tournament itself plays later in the year, they're eligible to play in this.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like Paulo confirmed on his Twitter
Right, and I
that they're
think
allowed to play.
that's a pretty important detail because there was some pretty. The punishment was meant to be severe, and I think everyone understood, and nobody evaluated how big of a deal that was. But it's good to see that they are still able to play and that they are eligible, because it sucks that, I mean, DNS, I've got to be rude here for a moment. He's a good player, but I don't really care about him so much. He's not like a big name or anything like that to me, but Marine Lord certainly is. So it was going to be really sad if he wasn't involved for so much this year.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, he was the guy that said like until if I don't make blank blank, then I'm gonna retire or whatever. Wasn't he?
Yeah.
That was right. Yeah. And then it's also the case that like it's basically like it's half a year at this point, right? Like we're ending May soon, so it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to get the WCS points. They'll send them to BlizzCon, especially since if they had any, they were removed. So it was a pretty big punishment, but at least they can still try, I suppose, with these upcoming events. Because I don't know how many more events there are. I wonder how close we are to like starting to really count by points and who's actually on the list so far. I've not been paying attention. I don't pay attention basically until like BlizzCon. Oh, those people that invited? Got it.
Yeah, pretty much. Also, one more point to note on that topic before we get too deep into this best of three. A lot of people are asking, where's Snoot on the brackets? Where's Blank on the brackets? A lot of your favorite players were invited to day 2. This is going to be the top 8 today qualify to stage 2 tomorrow, where they'll play for the actual qualifier spot over there. So this is like a preliminary qualifier, a qualifier to the qualifier, if you will.
Yeah. This is the most common way that IEM has done it. I don't know what is up with the other qualifiers they did. The ones that we cast before we went to Austin.
So
that were like 3 days, quote unquote.
Yeah. So the DreamHack qualifiers are weird. That's a whole nother can of worms. The one ESL runs is the Challenger series, the ladder Challenger or whatever, and that one gets confusing too because of the format difference. But IEM has always been the same, pretty much always.
Yeah, IEM I think makes a lot of sense. Thanks to Street Toasts, ST Toast for the 4-month resub.
By the way, Good Scott and the Reaper upon dying did see not only was it a Stargate and a Robo, but that there were in fact Phoenix coming out. It wasn't just like an Oracle or something silly. Beasty decides, by the way, before any of that, though, to take a third base. Like, not a bad choice. He's got the Cyclone up for the defense. I don't think he's really... I mean, he confirms basically with that scout there wasn't going to be a bunch of early pressure. Like, if you see Phoenix out, you know that it's so limited on what they can do. Like, yeah, they might kill some SCVs, but it's like 4 energy, or enough energy for like 4 of them. It's really not that big of a deal.
It is not. Let's talk about the Cyclone. It's kind of old-fashioned to get a Cyclone, but it does help out a lot against early game harassment. So Warp Prism, any Phoenixes even they can help out against. It is useful, but it is only one thing.
The changes to the Cyclone. So after we finished casting yesterday, I did some co-op with Nate, and we both we didn't really get into balance bitching, but we did discuss kind of how stupid the Cyclone is as a unit, and the changes they're coming out with for it are just... Like, it's not really about their cost. Well, first off, it's their health that sucks the most, and secondly, their supply really isn't an issue. But they're like, you know what? If we're gonna cut it by 50 gas, we better make it cost an extra supply, so you can still only build 2 of them.
All the changes they make to any of the new units is always, I don't know. I always feel like it's questionable. And Swarm Host, I guess, is like new unit in Heart of the Swarm terms.
Bring back the Herc.
Anyways, yeah, I always just thought that the new units for Terran were unnecessary almost. Like obviously Liberators have really found a place and Cyclones had a place like back in the beginning of Legacy of the Void, but I feel like Terran is still pretty damn good without it, and they didn't really fill the gaps that we necessarily truly needed, but we kind of had to live with it, right? Like once Liberators announced the Starport unit, I was like, I'm disappointed. Be disappointed. But you learn and live and whatever.
So this scan is not going to get to reveal the fact that it is in fact a Colossus coming out. Being Colossus, once upon a time, very common opener, very common build to do, but not really in Legacy.
And the fact that it's a 2-base Colossus specifically is what's really odd, because we've certainly seen people start to experiment or straight up just do like Colossus in the late game or mid to late game, right? Like I mean, we saw Night End do that, and it was actually pretty popular for some time to kind of use them as a response to Liberators. Then that died off. Not really done so much anymore, but some people still try and add it in, because when you think about it, consistent splash damage is it sounds really good, right? But a 2-base Protoss Colossus, like that is very hard of the swarm, and I wonder if this works or not, because what you give up by doing this is of course a much faster third, which usually Protosses are getting before Terrans. Like they've really accelerated their third timing, so they have a huge burst of gateway production. That's mostly what we see in TvP. To do this, I don't know if it'll work against Beastyqt's large amount of bio and Liberators.
Yeah, the Liberators obviously being the bigger, interesting aspect part of this. I mean, it's the dynamic of right now with Liberators is you do have a lot of the game focused around them. Whether it's you're dying to them or your build is focused to tailor around them. Again, whether you're considering Colossus as your option or Tempest, it's they have become a major focal point of the matchup. But I'd say it's not that big of a deal until they get that range benefit, that range bonus.
Sure. Really, I guess we were talking about Rail and his Colossus, but Beastyqt and his bunkers. I guess because he is going for the fast to Liberators, he didn't want to die to anything like this, I suppose, because he wasn't getting a large amount of bio. But it did seem interesting. It's gonna help out here, but really a concave is gonna help out even better, or a higher Marauder count too.
Well, nice complementary forces here. There's not any anti-air except these 3 Phoenix, so just keeping the Marines back meant the Liberators got to get away with quite a bit. Now warping some Stalkers, realizing he's going to need them, but Rail I do not believe has Blink. In fact, he does not have Blink, so getting underneath these Liberators is going to be quite the task. A couple Wind Mines out as well. I think there was an Observer out. Did it die?
It's
no, it's with the army. It's just hard to see.
Yeah. So I think that Beastyqt should be fine with this. Obviously, take it seriously, as Rail has a perfectly fine army to poke you with. But as Beastyqt gets more Liberators and more Marauders, I think is pretty important as well. This should be pushed back. He's also waiting his own upgrades. Rail did hit with 1-1, which certainly helped the initial push, but he's not breaking Beastyqt.
Beasty's also out of energy in these medevacs, not to mention they're kind of low. So this is a little bit worrisome as he continues to produce only Liberators. While Liberators are really good, a lack of medevacs can be equally bad.
Yes, we've certainly seen that with this style, and hopefully Beastyqt recognizes that as well, because some Terrans are sure, for sure, they're saying 4 medevacs is enough, even if sometimes it isn't, but it's almost always 4 medevacs, not just the 2. Oh well. Rail is doing more damage than I expected, but I do wonder if it is because he knew Beastyqt likes to go fast Liberators, because as we were talking about earlier, Colossus as a response to Liberators was absolutely a thing to do. A couple of months ago, it was much of what we were seeing in TvP, and maybe he knows how Beastyqt likes to play this matchup. Because if it was just mass amounts of Marauders and bio, I feel like the concave would have already it would have pushed back the first push and then would have tumbled from there. Oh, actually, Rail taking this engagement. I don't know about that.
Before and without Blink, I definitely don't know about that. Beasty's also not going to chase into it. I like that he pulls back, and he is not playing too cavalier with his units outside the range of the Liberation Zones. Because it is the Liberation Zones that are wrecking this army, not the Marines, not the Marauders. But the Phoenix being sacrificed, 3 of them pop off. That was a bit of a waste.
Did you see the Disruptor actually shoot, by the way? There was a Disruptor in that army, and then it died.
I did not.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. So that was a question mark push all over the place. And when we're talking about Colossus being a response to Liberators, it's obviously not because they kill the Liberators, usually because you find them a little bit out of position and start to do a massive amount of damage to the bio.
Oh man,
But
Beasty's
this
got that
is
range now, by the way. This is a really big aspect where Blink is more important than ever. Most of the Stalkers, well, they died in that first engagement. He's got a decent count still, but dealing with this many Liberators is going to be really tough.
yeah. And Rail hasn't expanded. So again, he still doesn't have that like huge gateway army. In fact, he's now down in supply, although taking a decent fight now. Just watching that supply drop for Beastyqt as his medevacs can't really heal his army. And his every single sim hurts his entire bioforce.
You have to, I like that he just gives up on the base. This is not one worth taking. Up here might be way better as a
Really,
alternate.
like Beastyqt really quickly lost out on like 30 army supply, and he's actually having trouble replacing it. I guess he hasn't thrown down more barracks yet. Only still on 5.
I think a lot more emphasis here is going into the starports, so I don't think he's really caring about Marines and Marauders, which may or may not be a good choice, but...
He has to use his bank somehow, so that's another starport or 2 more barracks, either one, but having any amount of bank right now could cost him the game if another fight like that happens.
Well, I think you know, 300 minerals is not something I would really call a bank, to be honest.
It was at 700.
Okay, well, Murata's going to take out that front line of Stalkers. Blinking in underneath this, they do focus down the Liberators, which again was probably the biggest threat to this army. Now that those are removed from the fight, Rail's going to take a pretty nice engagement. SCV's getting pulled, though, and those are soaking some of the hits for the Marauders to stay alive just a little bit extra longer and get the shots on this Colossus.
Yeah. And they should take care of the Stalker Force, no problem.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that's a pretty good Disruptor hit.
Okay, that Disruptor hit was actually magically good because he needed that hit as the Marauders are starting to get a little bit too much momentum on the Stalkers. But Beasty, while he holds the fight, did lose 20+ workers for that. In fact, we're also going to see if the minimap's still freaking out. Yep, it is. But yeah, 31 workers died. I guess the upside is he did get this base set up. It's saturated nicely. He's going to be dropping mules. He's even making it a planetary just for safety's sake. So, I mean, losing on this one kind of sucked, but we look at like a lot of his mineral patches already mined out here. I mean, this is such a bad base to have to give up.
Yeah, that 800 minerals went by really quickly, and now he doesn't really have any mining whatsoever. The main's mined out, the natural is mining out, and the third just doesn't have SCVs on it right now as he lost them. So he is replacing the SCVs. I think once he pushed back the army, he was intentionally going to take the 4th, or the 5th, rather, at this point, with one of those orbitals, and he has pushed back the army, so I'm a little surprised he isn't trying right now. But basically, he has always been the one on the defensive. Rail's always been on the offensive, which is why it's even more surprising that Rail has never expanded himself.
He's a great dodge on both those Disruptor shots, by the way. He doesn't take any damage from either, letting the Bio now concave on top of the Stalkers. The Immortal goes down, and let's be honest, those Liberators, while they were important in the past, not so much anymore. Now that army supply for Beasty's starting to double up. That Colossus in the middle of the map, a little bit awkward, but it will actually be enough to push the Marines back, surprisingly.
Rail has been all in on 3 bases for, like, actually quite a while. I keep expecting that he's already expanded again.
It's an interesting type of all-in, too, considering he does have upgrades behind it, but you're right, like, it's not moving towards Storms. It's not moving towards Tempests or anything like that. He's just going to tap out once he's not a fully mined base for Beastyqt. GG. Beasty will take that first game. Great defense. Although, let's be honest, it did look like he was going to lose at a couple points in that game.
It did, so definitely, like, kudos to a different style of Protoss, but that was a different TvP than usual.
Oh, for sure.
And I wonder if Beastyqt knows Rail and expected it, or vice versa. Rail knows Beastyqt a lot, and that's why he did it. Or if this next game is going to look way different on Dusk Towers.
I gotta imagine the same logic I think for Rail might get applied. I mean, he's been an aggressive player since the first time I ever cast him back when his name was still Verdi. I mean, that much I don't think has changed. But here we go, getting into Dust Towers, ready whenever they are. Let's gotta get Rail here into the game.
Yep.
Nice to see so many people tuning in, though. Damn, 2,000 already, and we're about an hour into the cast. Although it's only really like 15 minutes into the cast.
Yeah, a lot of people were hungry after the Pro League, so.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys be ready to enjoy it. Like we had mentioned at the start of the stream, we'll be doing both the European and the North American qualifiers today. Pure Dragon, who I know a lot of you guys have been asking about actually on Twitter especially, he'll be back tomorrow. A lot of things about him casting, by the way, do not pertain to me and Zombie of wanting to do more. We want him to do more, but he has a job in San Francisco, like, so you can't really cast during the week where we do a lot of our stuff, and then on the weekend, it's all about timing. So I know that today he's unavailable, but tomorrow he really wants to do casting. So you'll see some Fear Dragon tomorrow. Gonna have him come back for the NA qualifiers.
Yep, and he'll be back next weekend as well.
Yeah, you won't be though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I found out that it's just, it sucks because it's awkwardly timed is my problem. I thought originally I was gonna be 2 hours south for 3 days. Not even. It's like 45 minutes away, but everything is timed around between the hours of 1 and 5 p.m. for me, which is the exact hours that we cast.
Yeah.
I have a
was getting married, by the way.
Yeah,
Steve
totally.
flew in from Korea. They got back together after that breakup, and
yeah.
She's gonna green card marry him. That's why she can't
wish.
green card marry me. She's already taken.
I wish, man. I totally moved to Korea, but nah. I'm in the wedding party, so it's like important that I'm there or something. I don't know.
Girl, don't just be like that. You can be the wedding party, all right? You bring the booze. You bring the rock. All right.
I am not bringing the booze. That's hella expensive.
Actually, that's a fair point. We're just waiting on Beasty to let us know, and we'll hop into Dust Towers. Beasty, don't have gone AFK on us, bro. I know Rail took 7 times to join the lobby, but...
Yeah, and then he has the audacity to say, invite, please.
The audacity? Well, shut up. All right. We're going to get into Dust Towers. We'll see you guys here in just a sec for game number 2. Okay, I know it's not StarCraft related, but of course I'm bringing this back off of having just tapped in from Twitter. And damn, I really wish I was near any city that had these like statues. Like the Tracer statue and the Pharah statue and all that. They look so cool.
It would be so cool if those were actually like the action figures they were gonna sell.
Yo, if they actually make Overwatch action figures, I will buy the shit out of them.
Okay, but here's my thing.
I don't.
Okay, I
noticed before you get this. I really don't want them to do like the cop out with the pop vinyl figurines. Like I want full on action figures.
Agree with that, but also like I don't like the movable joints. Okay, like movable joints was fine when I was actually like playing with the action figures, but now I just want kick-ass statues that look really cool.
Well, they
don't have to have
Tracer
joints.
one.
No, the Tracer one has joints.
No, I mean in the Blizzard store, there's like the Tracer statue.
Oh yeah, but it costs like $200.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IEM Shanghai qualifiers. You're watching on BaseTradeTV, and recently learning this is not Street Toast, it's Saint Toast, apparently.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I was thinking though, like, what's street toast? Like, just toast you found on the street? Someone decided, you know what? I'm actually not that hungry for breakfast, and I'm in a rush for work, so we'll just leave this here for someone else to find.
Yep.
Okay. Game number 2. The bottom left side of the map is going to be Gear Trail.
In the top right, as the yellow Terran, it's Beastyqt.
So I was watching some of our VODs where we're casting Forte, and I oftentimes would mess up calling him Salvation, and that's whatever. But in the intros, I always introduce him as the player formerly known as, or AKA. And I'm wondering, like, what your opinion? Like, do you think that's important? Because I guess a lot of new people might not care what his old name was.
Oh yeah, I don't think it was important for him in particular, not to be BM. But
well, I mean, someone like Rail, do we inform, like, by the way, you guys may have used to have known him as Verdi, where he was like a lot more, we'll say, notorious with that name.
I also don't think it's that important. It's more like knowing, like for me when I give random Brood War facts, it's like, okay, like a couple of people would be like, wow, good knowledge. A couple would be like, wow, thanks, I like learning secret stuff like that. But then most people are just gonna be like, oh, okay.
Well, so I bring up this question not because like I'm looking for advice or anything, but for example, one of the things here for me would be Rail, aka Verdi, is a really aggressive player. He used to be really BM. Obviously, he's changed his ways since then. He's a much better guy now, but it does give kind of a point of reference on what type of playstyle you're expecting. I mean, that game 1 against the random Protoss, you're like, whatever, an all-in, didn't expect that coming. But against Rail, against Verdi, I think it's like, okay, yeah, I should have expected that every single time, watching and playing against that guy.
Yeah. I just don't know if the name really matters, because you could say the same thing without saying they used to be called something.
That's true.
Yeah.
Just a curious question, I guess, more than anything else. Beasty, by the way, going for the 3rd CC once again. I think what I really like about his choice to do this is not about what he sees or doesn't see, and of course he did get really good scouting with that SCV. I believe he even saw the Robo, which, yes, he did. But I like that he just does this again, because if you're fighting against somebody who's going to be hitting you hard, whether it's getting to your mineral lines or fighting on the front lines, having more SCVs, and more importantly, the capability to make more SCVs is never a bad thing.
Well, that's certainly true. The one problem about doing this on Dusk Towers is that sometimes there are like Protosses that like to punish the third CC with the Blink Stalker attack that we see fairly commonly. Like either it's Blink Stalker or aggression. Well, it's most of the time just aggression. But if they see an opportunity, they can really punish you just by dedicating a little bit more to it. Now, that's not what Rail is doing. Rail is actually going for his own third base pretty damn quick. Obviously, since it's on location, it'll match up pretty well with Beastyqt's base. And this is more of what we would expect from a TvP.
It's a sick, awkward Marine Scout on it. Kind of came in and went north, so... Of course, Rail doesn't know that this has been scouted, and that's a big part of why Beasty pulls that Marine up, but also be able to walk in and scout a little bit later. But we got a missile turret coming down over here. Who was it? We were casting somebody just yesterday that got really defensive with turrets, but this time around, I guess for Beasty, it's like a bunker, a turret, just playing really, really safe.
It wasn't Lily Canine, it was...
I want to say Bobcanic or something. No, Healer? It was Healer.
Healer, there you go. Yeah, someone that plays mech. Right, that was very odd, and I didn't really like that. But this has been, you know, an old standard on this map for some time.
Ho, 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 hot damn.
Ooh.
$55.55. This guy knows how to exactly donate 5555. It's Wisecracks. If you guys don't know this guy, he's a smooth-talking, suit-wearing son of a gun. You might catch him at some events. He says, I'm trying to think of a clever and witty joke about Dragon Ball Z, but I got nothing. Take some money. Best regards, Wisecracks. Thank you kindly, sir. I know you got in on that tweet chain about the Super Saiyan restaurant in, like, Miami or whatever. Tempo's, like, in town.
I really liked it, yeah.
I really hope he goes. I want him to take pictures at that place.
He's going to be taking pictures of a TV screen.
Probably, but who cares?
Yep. They show Dragon Ball Z.
It'll be cool, man.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Supa is spelled like Supa, like soup.
Because it's soup. It's like a ramen soup place, I think. Yeah.
I love it. Actually,
yeah, that's clever.
Talk about what's going on in the game here in just a sec, but just comment on like, man, Dragon Ball Z and One Piece and like all those shows where like the main hero always can eat a lot of food. Like they always look so good. Like rice bowls never taste that great, but you watch Goku like mowing that thing down, like basically shoveling it in his mouth. You're like, you know what? I could go for a rice bowl right about now.
I think rice is delicious. So like rice for the most part is good, and that's why it's put with so much stuff. But it really is just like a flavor soaker. Wow, I went like, I don't know, Boston or something there. Anyway.
Flavor soaker.
But I actually love the taste, and I feel like it's because I keep denying myself rice because it's so many calories. So when I have it, it's like, oh, joyous day. Anywho.
Okay.
It's so good.
Praise the sunrise.
Seriously, if I have calories for rice, I'm just like, this is the best day. Anyway, so like I said, this is more like a regular TVZ that would see. There's a little bit of a push out from the Terran. Protoss tried to get like an accelerated economy for accelerated gateway production.
Yeah, there's the Liberators coming up behind us, but the +1 already makes me feel like Beasty, if you wanted to, could have taken this fight. Not only did you have the upgrade lead now gone, because it's now at one piece, but Stim being done, that's a huge influence. Now he's going to still find himself forced to fight in the middle of the map like this, and I think if you're not ready to pounce, you're going to have a bad time. Like, you want to be stimming into a fight, not stimming away from it. So that was a couple of Marines just bled out really quick.
Yeah. And it's not unexpected to see Beastyqt go so quickly to Liberators, but again, this is more like, you know, normal. Like, he didn't have to first get a lot of bunkers because he was afraid of an attack from Rail. He's actually doing pretty okay on 3 base on Dusk Towers after seeing that, you know, Rail is going for a 4th. And this is going to be that longer macro game where we might once again see Colossus, but with Rail going for a Stargate, I'm going to guess he's going to go for Tempests preemptively instead. That's fine. Either one could work. But as we were talking about in the last game, Colossus kind of fell out of fashion, even though they did work versus Liberators.
This is actually going to be a really awesome drop, escorted by 3 Liberators. I mean, yeah, there's already cannons now and pylons, so I don't think it's going to go too well, but this is a cool concept out of Beasty. But, I mean, I like for Rail the idea to play 4 bases and to do Tempest, to do more macro styles, but he's really got to live through what is going to be 2 really scary pushes. We got one down the middle of the map, the Observer sees this, the army's going to be driven north towards it. There is static defense in the main, but it doesn't cover the entire main. And let's be honest, Rail might actually have to deal with the natural instead if Beasty just wants to fly past it.
That is true. Couple of Stalkers voted overcharge. I don't think this is going to be enough for BastyQt. Yeah, especially when the medevacs go down. His other army has been caught in the middle, and it's not going so well either.
Nice deflections out of Rail.
Yeah, this actually went up. Whoa, well, was that cleaning this up?
It's not cleaning up, it's only like one Marauder.
Yeah, it sucked because he lost a couple more probes than he had to without pulling, but the one Marauder definitely could not, like, kill anything more. Alright, so he does deflect it, just took, 5 seconds longer. And he deflected the other push so well that this went a lot better for Rail than it did for BastyQt. Oh, that's awkward. Oh, it's a sentry instead of that death.
Well, Beasty does take the opportunity to put a 4th on behind this, so it's not like that was all without benefit, but man, as we see, there's not really any medevacs back at home. A lot of this army remains unhealed and tarnished. I mean, the Liberators and the medevacs lived, but they're not really doing anything too threatening, and until that range benefits bonus is done, they can't either, which kind of sucks. Oh wow, the 4th not being a planetary, first of all. But yeah, as well as like this game was never, I mean, it was doubtful it was going to end, even if BastyQt like lost not his entire army, but like half of his army, just because it is such a macro game. Rail is still on his side of the map, not trying to return any pressure despite taking a very good engagement, 2 very good engagements. And even, I mean, he's gonna have an upgrade lead as well. There's a lot of opportunities actually for Rail to potentially end the game by being aggressive once again, but apparently that's not the way either of these guys gonna go. BastyQt very like early on going for those Liberators at 4th base. Rail just trying to get to Tempests before anything else, even before his charge or his High Templars. Really anticipated potentially even splitting the map, which might not have been like a necessary outcome for Rail had he been more aggressive, but that's his choice. Oh, we got Liberators kind of camping on the outside of every one of these bases. I know there's a Void Ray out. I thought it was going to clear them all up a lot easier, but not actually happening yet. So he is going to be able to siege up several locations. And what I like about this is actually providing pressure behind a main push coming down the middle of the map. The idea is you really just don't want Rail looking around the sides or fixing his income while this happens.
Wow.
That's so much army that gets caught around the Liberators. The Marauders just simming to the right side. Nothing's going to scare these. Not pylons, not cannons, not even these Tempests I feel like that's scary.
They need to start targeting the Liberators, and then maybe they'll be a little scarier, but getting a couple of Marines here and there is not exactly ideal. They do attack very, very slowly. Liberators once again siege up here, and it was just a problem of Rail to let the Liberators get so close. You're supposed to, like tanks, meet them in the middle and hopefully pull back every single time they set up, but now he's lost his 5th base. While BastyQt is getting his 5th base. Once again an orbital, not a planetary.
By the way,
fast and loose to the side of the map.
The income graph shows just how badly Beasty was able to deny mining while this was going on.
Huh.
I mean, he just jumped ahead leaps and bounds, but the Void Ray does start clearing up some of the Liberators on the edges of the map. This is starting to get a little bit scary, but even with the overstimming, I mean, the Liberators are just going ham. There's nothing here that shoots up. It's Adepts and Immortals.
Yeah,
Three Tempests.
Then he's not taking care of the Liberators, though. Once again, they are targeting the ground, which means eventually they're going to clean everything up. But those Liberators did so much damage, even though Rail was trying to get to them. He just ended up being in their liberation zone. Is that Banshee speed?
That is not. That is the high capacity.
Oh, it's medevac speed. Yeah, that's right. Wow, that's a very interesting, clearer icon. Okay, another bug. We were talking about this yesterday, right?
It doesn't reflect the actual new upgrade.
Yeah, the icons have never been changed.
That may actually be a game part related thing. I'm unsure. I've never used the default UI to confirm whether that's the case or not. But regardless of that being the case, for those who don't know what this does, it basically gives the medevacs 3 seconds longer on their boost. And what's really interesting about the medevac boost is the cooldown starts the second you press it, not the second it finishes. So it essentially shaves it 3 seconds off of the cooldown in a way.
Forgot the medevac speed boost, or the Banshee speed boost is just the Reaper speed boost that used to exist.
Yeah. We're using those icons, man.
Yeah.
But the medevac count, speaking of which, I'm surprised to see him invest into this considering he doesn't really have so many in play. And I mean, he's only just now replenishing the ones that were missing earlier. He's going for round 2 on the fight, and I mean, Rail's recovered off this really nicely. Beasty's not actually got enough Marines to take on the Tempests, I feel.
Well, if the Tempests... Yeah, actually, that's quite a few Tempests. He's gonna back off from this and consider. But it's been this. It's probably gonna continue on even after this push, no matter what it looks like. Better for Rail, better for Beastyqt. Is there just not been? They've not been very hungry to end the game.
No,
you know,
no.
no one's overstepped. Although that was a little bit of a mistake there for Beastyqt, to the point where they were gonna lose the game. Even Beastyqt here, Rail finally pushing forward after taking an advantage, might be able to defend. What's back at home though? He's down 40 army supply. I mean, he just has like basically command centers back at home. His 2 drops go into the 5th. That is going to pull Rail entirely back though, so job well done.
He needs that time to build those Vikings. 5 coming out right now. 4 Marauders is... I don't know about the Marauders at this point, because you do want something to deal with the Stalkers to an extent, but Vikings are going to not be a bad choice at all to have versus said Liberators. By the way, got a new sub a little while ago, Mathman. And Andy Date also resub, but then Wisecrack sets us up with another donation, 2 donations in the same game. What? $22.22. I'll get you to read this one.
How many Super Saiyans did it take to screw in a light bulb?
I don't know, Zabergrub. How many Super Saiyans does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Found out next time on Dragon Ball Z. Best regards, okay.
That was literally Dragon Ball Z in a nutshell sometimes, I swear to God.
Find out next time. Thing is that...
That or like you're screwing in the light bulb and the whole episode is just... It takes you the whole episode to screw in the light bulb and it's still not done, so you gotta do 2 more episodes.
Yeah. When I was watching Dragon Ball Z 3 episodes at a time, or sometimes 4, depending on the VHS tape that I bought.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I never felt like it was very much of a cliffhanger, to be honest. But there was a lot of that.
There's a lot less cliffhanger-y than I think. Like if you watch something like Lost straight up has like cliffhanger, like gods.
Yeah.
But anyways, the Viking count, I don't know if it's actually high enough yet to deal with this. 8, 9, 10, like it's a decent count, but the problem is you're gonna fly over top of Stalkers. There's even some Storms ready to go. I mean, Rail's looking to be in a fantastic spot. Beasty just lifts up his base to screw it, pulls back. Meanwhile, drops go off in the main. Overcharge is trying to defend. But I mean, it's 2 drops versus the entire army. If it comes down to a race, Beasty doesn't win this race, I fear. But he is gonna cut out production. 3 gateways, the starport depowered.
Lift your orbitals, buddy.
He's just trying to buy more time to get those Vikings out. He wanted a little more time, but he couldn't get it, so he's just going to push in.
We're the Tempests. Vikings, what are you doing? Just going to the storms like that?
And just sitting above the Stalkers. GG. Well played out of Rail.
Took a long time, but eventually he made it. He did it.
He did. We are going to, I guess, pop off to an ad break since we did have such long game 1s and game 2s. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in a second. And keep in mind, the winner of this goes on to fight against Night End. We'll probably follow through to that. So whether it's TvP or PvP will be determined in this next game. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll see you in 2 minutes. Rail.
In the bottom left, as the pink Terran, it's Beastyqt.
So, what I actually, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it is interesting to look at the brackets. And again, there's not a lot of crazy matchups on deck, but it is going to be really curious to see which of these guys play against Night End. Because I actually don't know that Rail can beat Night End in a PvP, but I know Beasty can in a TvP.
Yeah. I'd feel pretty confident for Beastyqt, but I am not sure about a PvP at all. Oh, okay, a little bit of a more aggressive opener coming out from Rail with a double gateway. Now this is horizontal spawn, which I feel like we've been seeing a lot more vertical recently. But I don't actually know the rate at which we see it, but like bottom horizontal, so rare. And different, too, because they did take out those pathways about, like, what, 2 months ago at this point?
Yeah, now they're just like water.
Something like that.
But the 2 gateways I look at, actually, and I'm a little bit worried, because it's obviously like, oh, man, you failed to adapt to the end of the world. No, what I am worried about is the follow-up with that potential pylon attack, but he's not sent any probes out to scout, so I'm not sure that's actually the direction this is heading.
Yeah, that's also what I would have been scared of, but okay, so it's gonna be Stalkers, and the Militia Corps is on the way out, so you can move the Stalkers out, attack the Natural, and have the Mothership attack the main. especially depending on what build the Terran is doing. They might not have enough Marines for either one, or certainly to split both. And Beastyqt, unfortunately for him, is scouting incorrectly with the Reaper, as he never bothered to SCV scout to get it, as fast as possible to the Protoss's base, which might really bite him in the butt. It also might bite Rail in the butt because the Reaper timing will be so odd. All of his units might be either making or out on the map. He might lose a couple of probes. But that really depends on Beastyqt's multitasking, because of course he's going to have to try and micros SCVs away from this mothership core, or repair them or something. Yeah, repair them.
Sure,
It's
only
not really
works
working
if
out
you
so well.
hold the hell still, though, so your brothers can repair you.
You're right? Like, that's not working out so well this way. Definitely a mistake. There we go. So the militia core now, it's up to her to pick and choose and focus fire a different one. We actually have Hellions as the opener, so there really is not any anti-air.
No, and he can't send one Marine in. It's gonna take
There's no
3.
units at all. Like, even the Hellions, like, they can't really help out against the Stalkers.
Like he pulls, I like this, he pulls the command center back towards the maze. You swap the barracks over the reactor. He needs it, but this is already a really awkward opening out of Beasty.
Wow.
When, let's be honest, it's his greed that's punishing him. Rail, whether he realized that Beasty likes to take expansions quickly, or whether he just identified his 3 CCs in every game so far, this was a great way to punish it.
Oh, the bunker doesn't finish. Of course, it's going to finish in a second, and 2 Marines will get into it, but also the Reaper died, so there was no counter aggression whatsoever.
What?
Now, the Hellions, yeah, it's much better that they went across the map. I do like that as opposed to trying to help out at all facing the Stalkers. And there's only 1 Stalker on the way, an Immortal too, I guess.
2 Marines isn't enough. He's got to be careful.
It isn't. Maybe he just assumed that 2 more Marines are on the way, I guess. Militia Corps could have sticked around long.
Beasty doesn't even have the money to
would've
build.
mind.
Well,
He doesn't
Hellions
have-
getting some good shots over here, but
Oh,
Beasty can't build orbital,
Rail.
which sucks.
Okay, well, he loses both Hellions anyways.
Bunker fell over here by the looks of it. GG's
Game.
Fail. This is so hard to look at, because you look at a player like Beasty, it's like you just kind of go, you shake your head, you're like, you're better than this, man.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. That was, and the most unfortunate thing was not SCV scouting.
I would say yes to that, but also just playing greedy in general. I mean, he did that in pretty much every game, and I think after identifying game 1, confirming it again in game 2, Rail. I mean, let's keep in mind, he didn't scout either. He just got lucky with the mothership core. All it was intended to do was scout, and realized, like, oh, I can actually get away with so much more than just scouting.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm not sure if we'll follow through then on Night End, because there are some other really good matchups perhaps coming through. PvP wouldn't be bad. I like PvP. We got a whole PvP tournament coming, but I think Euthermal versus Shutdown, if that hasn't started, is one I would really like to get into.
Shadowwind?
Yeah.
Shutdown. I always thought there was an I in there. Could have sworn there was.
I messaged him. He says, sure, cool. So we'll get Euthermal up next, guys, because I really like Euthermal. Also, that Terran bias, am I right?
Totally.
Best of luck, though. TLO still advances in the bottom half of the bracket. He'll probably play Fear or Sword of there in round 4, which will be the qualifying rounds. It's weird to consider. We are really... yes, please. You can write maps. We are really close to the qualifying matches for a couple of these guys already. But, okay, it's Dusk Frozen something. Like, literally wrote something. So just make Dusk for now. We'll find out what the last map is if we get to it.
Amazing.
Okay, so yeah, we'll do Thermal versus Shadow. I wrote the poop emote to him.
You
Okay,
know,
it's
that's so
Invader.
funny. When are you gonna find that?
I'm not gonna. Ew. Okay, so it's Dust Towers, Frozen Temple, and then Invader.
Okay. Where is Shadow and Shadone?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, he's inviting him. Good deal.
About Tracer. But your Winston is shit, mate. We were fighting about this on the Phoenix stream yesterday.
Bet you were. Ready?
All right, I'm ready whenever they are. So yeah, it's gonna be TvP once more. Euthermal is quite the... Oh, he swapped to Winston, son of a bitch. It's quite the aggressive play, but Euthermal, Shutdown. Either way, we'll see you guys here in a second.